Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 70 of Two Amazon Sellers and a Microphone, brought to you by Sellozo. I'm Dustin Kane, and as always, with me is Kris Gramlich. What's up, Kris?
How much, man? Good to be with you again.
Yes, it is. It is, and it's also nice that it's actually sunny and getting kind of warm outside. So I think spring is around the corner, I hope.
Yeah, the weather is starting to change. It's going to be in the 60s, 70s.
Yeah,
I booked a golf tournament recently, so that's going to be fun.
it is. I cannot wait. It is time for winter to be over. All those poor UPS drivers driving around the freezing cold, dropping packages, they get ready for spring too. But oh man, it's nice. Makes me happier when it's warm. But well,
yes,
let's do this today. We're gonna do another Sellozo Spotlight installment here, and today we're going to talk about one of the coolest features on Sellozo, and that's our campaign studio. When we are showing Sellozo to people, we're showing Sellozo to people who are looking to automate their advertising and design their strategy. When they see the campaign studio and how it's set up, they just get so excited. I mean, it's really well done.
Yeah, it's a differentiator. It's a tool that we have that allows sellers or agencies or whoever to create their own little campaign structure. So if you have a flow that you do where maybe you take an auto to a broad to a phrase to an exact, or you do an auto to a phrase to an exact, or whatever your system is, you can do that whole thing and line it all out inside our tool called Campaign Studio. So I'm going to share my screen here, and for those of you listening, if you want to see this, just go to sellozo.com, book a demo with Dustin and I, and we'll show you exactly how this tool works. It's really cool. You'll love it.
Yeah. The best part about the way this is laid out is how you can intuitively see what's happening, because it's laid out like a workflow program, like a drag and drop workflow where you're laying out, you're able to see icons for each that represent each of your campaigns. And you're able to drag links between them so that you can define the rule of the keyword transfer. Another nice thing about this campaign studio is Sellozo being AI-based, where our algorithm does the majority of the work, is you don't have to define a million rules. You just say, hey, if something converts in the auto campaign a certain amount of times, make it an exact match or make it a broad match or whatever. You don't have to define all these rules, like what would the starting bid be when you move it to this campaign? When do you make it a negative? When are you making negative keywords, etc.? The algorithm at Sellozo is making all the adjustments for you, but you're able to completely design the workflow strategy that you're wanting.
Yeah, and this is what's nice is you don't have to do like after 1.5 clicks, do this for that keyword, or make this keyword move to this match type and make that a negative keyword. Or you're not coming in and we don't give you a bunch of suggestions and then you have to accept them before they go live. Like that doesn't happen. We're running the automation. That's why we automate PPC. That's what we stand by. And you're simply just telling us how many conversions you want the search term to have before it moves to the next campaign. That's simple. As simple as that.
Yeah. And let's go through some common ones. So when we talk to sellers, typically one of our first questions is so how are your campaigns structured right now? And if somebody will say, well, I usually run an auto campaign. And then what I like to do is, if things are converting to sales in the auto campaign, I like to make them broad matches. And then I look through that broad match campaign. And if things are converting in the broad match, I like to make them exact matches or a phrase and then exact or whatever. Well, we're able to say, well, okay, would you like all of that automated? We can, inside the campaign studio, link your auto campaign to your broad match campaign, to your exact match campaign, and everything will be automated. So, and that I think is huge. That's game changing. That really, you can set that up and then let it go. And then really at that point, all you're looking at is, where's your budget? Do you want to raise your budget or lower your budget? And then target ACoS, which we haven't talked about yet, at least in this episode, but that's the way our tool optimizes your bids. Our tool will adjust your bids every single day based on a target ACoS that you set for the campaign. So even there, you can have different target ACOS for your broad match campaign versus your exact match campaign, let's say. You can have different strategies. So it can all be automated, and it's laid out inside of our campaign studio. Super easy to see.
Yep. And so what I got here on my screen, and we're going to kind of show this on YouTube if you're watching, and people listening, just head over to Sellozo's YouTube channel. You'll see this, or again, book a demo. You'll get more out of it. But here you go. So I have an auto campaign, broad match, phrase match, exact match. And this is very common. People have an auto campaign. That's auto campaign is going to be more of like your discovery. You're finding new search terms and keywords that Amazon's showing you up for. So you're going to be kind of placed all over the place. I see a lot of ACOS or high ACOS with these just because your product is being shown everywhere and Amazon's trying to learn it. So we start with the auto campaign. You don't have to start with an auto campaign. If you don't like auto campaigns, you don't have to use them. You can use a broad match or phrase or just maybe just do one campaign and just optimize it by itself. And if you have different ad groups within a manual campaign, we can link different ad groups together. This whole entire system gives you flexibility on whatever flow or whatever setup you have. Campaign Studio is going to handle that. So I'm going to start with an auto just because that's pretty generic. But I have an auto campaign, and all I'm doing is just linking it. I'm dragging and dropping it, and I'm linking it to the broad manual campaign where it says link target. That is now linked together. I want to click on the blue line here, and when I click on this, this is where I get to do that transfer rule of keywords. So this is where I decide as a seller how many conversions do I want to happen before that search term becomes a keyword in the broad match campaign. And when I look at that, I can say here, I can go all the way up to 10, and that's 10 conversions. That's extremely high. That's a little overkill, just a tad, I would say. But normally you would use like 1 to 2 conversions. So for the sake of this, I'm going to do 2, and I'm going to make this say broad match. And I just simply click apply. Now the next section I want to link is to my broad match to my phrase match. I want to click on that line again. I'm going to change the conversion type from 1 or 2 to 1 and do phrase match and click apply. And then on the phrase to the exact, it'll default exactly to where I want it to be, 1 and an exact. So the reason I did 2 conversions on the auto, because I want to make sure that the search term before it moves to a broad match, I want to make sure it's relative to the product and not just some one-off random buy. So I add 2 there, kind of like a buffer, so that I know it's going to be relative to the product. So I need 2 conversions to happen before that search term becomes a keyword in the broad match campaign. After that, it's going to be 1 conversion needs to happen, and it's going to move to the phrase match, and then it's going to move to the exact match. Every time that it moves down the line, after it converts in the new campaign that we send it to, the Sellozo tool automatically goes back to the campaign that it came from and makes it a negative exact by default. So it's extremely powerful, extremely easy to set up.
Yeah. And one thing that we want to touch on as well is this is a question a lot of times because there's a lot of tools out there that they're set up where if you come onto them for their PPC management, they launch brand new campaigns for you. That's not the case with Sellozo. It's helpful to use campaigns that have lots of data with them. If you come into us and you have an auto and a broad and a phrase and exact match campaign and you want to set up this exact structure that we have right here, we will use the existing campaigns and link them up. And then all that happens is from then on, our tool automates that keyword transfer for you. It takes that workload off of your plate. Not to mention it does it every day. If you're doing this manually, it's pretty tricky to move keywords every single day between campaigns based on whatever rule you're trying to follow, and then make those negative keywords when it converts, which that is another point. The reason we back negate keywords after they convert is so that we allow that keyword, once it's into a new campaign, time to get traction. You want to make sure that you're not going to lose out on that sale potentially while that keyword's getting traction. So that's why we leave it in the original campaign temporarily until it gets a conversion. But there's so many other things you can do. Okay, this is one strategy. This is obviously a very thorough keyword testing type strategy if you're doing an auto to broad to phrase to exact. Now, one other thing that you can do is, let's say you've got, well, I know you're setting up a different setup right here. There's the cool thing about setting up these workflows is, let's say you don't want them to move through the pattern. You want something when it converts in the auto campaign to immediately create a broad and a phrase and an exact. Well, you can do that by linking the auto campaign directly to those 3 other campaigns. And every time something converts in the auto campaign, it will make all of the match types in the 3 different campaigns at the same time. So again, this is just another strategy that you can employ. Now let's take this setup that you have. Go ahead. Do you have something you wanted to add to that?
I was just going to, so what we're showing here for those listening is we have an auto campaign by itself, and then we have 3 manuals in a line, and we're connecting the lines to each one of them separately. But after a conversion happens in the auto campaign, that search term is sent to all 3 campaigns as a keyword instead of going from broad phrase to exact. So that's the visual. But something on here that I've seen people do, and I've kind of tested out myself, is after it does this, so it gets sent to a broad phrase and exact, well, maybe I want to test it out even further. So like I could take this broad and send it down to this phrase, and take this phrase and send it down to the exact. And now what I'm doing is I'm testing out broad phrase and exact campaigns to an exact match campaign.
That's right. And even your dogs are excited about this campaign studio.
They love it. They love it. Anytime I talk about campaign studio, I swear the UPS guy shows up.
That's right. And those dogs go nuts over the UPS guy. That's funny. But yeah, okay. So just looking at this, and I know a lot of people are listening to the podcast, but the complexity of this to do this manually would be a lot of work. And so we're able to, this is really allowing you to really thoroughly optimize and test keywords and move them quickly once certain parameters are met. But there's other things that you can do here. And this is why I think there's so much power in this. So a lot of people, or a lot of sellers, will have just a campaign that's set up for product targeting. So it's only ASINs. Well, you can add refinements on these links. So you can have a link from an auto campaign where you tell it, I don't want it to move search terms. I want it to move ASINs. Okay. So now when ASINs convert, they will go to your product targeting campaign, and the search terms will go to the other campaigns. So you're able to now refine that and not have to move those manually. Let's take it a step further. Let's say you have a defensive brand strategy. So you've got a campaign now where you keep all of your branded terms. Well, your auto campaign is going to find you new ones of those as well. So let's link that and now to a new campaign, and you can add a refinement where if the search term contains your brand name, it takes that path and it goes to your branded campaign. So, I mean, you can have lots and lots of campaigns running. And when you have them linked up, you're going to have all of the keywords moving to the correct campaign. Because of the back negating that's happening, you're going to ensure that you're not competing against yourself. And all of the bids are going to be adjusted every day based on your target ACOS, and you can have different ones. Your branded campaign can have a high target ACOS, and then your other campaigns can be lower, and it's all automated.
You imagine doing this manually? Like, I just sitting here looking at this structure we just created, and doing this manually, downloading search term reports, moving keywords, optimizing bids. No thanks. No thanks.
Yeah. Well, I can remember before software like this existed, I can remember, listening to a podcast like this or watching a YouTube video of someone talk about how they, optimize their campaigns. And I was watching the video and I'd be like, well, that's great, but I'm not doing that. There's no way. That's going to take all day. I'd rather look at new products I can sell. And so as a result of that, maybe there was people out there that were optimizing their campaigns better than I was because I wasn't willing to do this kind of manual labor. But now it's automated. Now there's no excuse not to, whatever your strategy is, to design it inside Campaign Studio and let our tool automate it and let you move on. I mean, we just, in the last 5 minutes, we just designed a highly complex campaign structure that's going to do everything that you'd want to do: a branded campaign, a product targeting campaign, a search term refinement that goes from auto to broad to phrase to exact, all set up, and it's all going to be automated. And you can just log into Sellozo, look at the results, adjust your budgets, adjust your target ACOS if you need to, make a million adjustments if you need to. But this flow, this ability to create this and do this is a game changer for Amazon sellers who are struggling with PPC or struggling to manage it.
Yeah, I had a seller that signed up recently, and she was about 2 weeks in, and she was like, she did the whole search term report. She did the whole move keywords, make native keywords. She did all the bids, and she did an onboarding call, and we hooked her up with the right structure that she wanted. And I got an email from her like, can we go over my account? And all she really wanted to know was, what else do I need to be doing? I was like, you don't need to be doing anything else. You don't have to do bid adjustments. You don't have to make negative keywords. Maybe add more budget or change your target ACOS would be the only thing you need to do. And she kind of got quiet, like silent, like, okay, I guess I'll do something else, because she was really into it. And taking that away and having the tool do it freed up some more of her time where she can do more products, like you mentioned, and focus on listings or go find a new supplier or something like that. So we're really automating the whole process. And this campaign studio is really what's going to separate us from everybody else. This is not going to be in any other tool. This is going to be something that Sellozo has and will continue to own, continue to be different.
Oh, yeah. And I think that brings up a good point. There is a lot of automation tools out there, and there's some low-priced ones. You know, there's some tools you can get for $29, $39 a month that are out there. But they're not going to have this kind of functionality. This is full automation. And it's AI based. You get the benefit of our algorithm working, and you can design strategies like this, and it's completely automated. So there is a huge value proposition to when you're looking at different tools to what this Sellozo Campaign Studio can provide to you, and the work it can take off, and the ability to be creative in here is. I mean, when I'm talking to somebody, and I encourage you guys out there, if you want to walk through this and see a demo with Kris or myself, go to Sellozo.com, book a demo. We'll talk about your campaign structures. We love it. If you tell us how you're doing it right now, tell us your campaign structure, and we can show you how to set it up in Campaign Studio to automate it. I've yet to see somebody say, here's what I do, and then it's impossible to replicate inside Campaign Studio.
I'm with you.
So somebody try to stump us on that. Book a demo if you got something that you can stump us with that we can't automate it. But I've yet to see it where we can't fully automate whatever your campaign structure is, and it's going to change the way you manage your business. It's going to take all this time, give all this time back to you.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's super easy to use. Just connect a few things. It took us 10 minutes here, and that's it. It's gonna do the rest for you. We're gonna track all these. So some people are like, well, how do I know the changes? We're gonna track all these changes. So every time a keyword or a search term moves from one campaign to the next, we're gonna track it. Bid adjustments, we're gonna track it. Negative keywords, we're gonna track it. All that stuff's gonna be tracked. You'll be able to see that in an activity log, which we should probably touch on in another Spotlight series. But
absolutely,
yeah, that's how basic it is to get started.
And I think one other thing we didn't mention yet, but once you're rolling, I mean, you're going to be launching new products in the future after you sign up for Sellozo. What you'll have the benefit then is you can launch a complex campaign structure from scratch inside Sellozo without having to do all of this linking and connecting. You can literally say, I want to launch the auto to broad to phrase to exact campaign structure. Boom, you fill out a couple things, your budget, your name, target ACOS, launch, it's done. It's going to launch all those campaigns linked together for you automatically. So I feel like just down in terms of in the future, just being able to launch really complex strategies off the bat, it's a no-brainer. And let us show you. Book that call with us. Let us walk you through it. Let us replicate what your campaign structures would look like. Also, you mentioned it on the onboarding call. We'll talk strategy. We will, and we'll be honest. If we feel like there's a different way you could set up your campaigns for better results, we'll let you know. We can look through it. We can audit your campaigns. We can show you how to link existing ones, and then you'd have a 14-day free trial to play around with it. You'll be sold.
Yeah, you'll see. You'll see
the benefit. So if anybody's out there, you're overwhelmed with PPC, you know what you'd like to do, but it just takes so much time and effort to do it, talk to us. Let's get you set up. Let's build that in Campaign Studio and have it rolling. So, well, I think that pretty much covers it. For those of you that are listening on the podcast, I know you didn't get the visual, so we'd love to get the opportunity to do that during a demo. To do that, you can go to sellozo.com, the top right. You can click the button. It says start your 14-day free trial. That will prompt you to fill out a form to get a demo with Kris and myself. We'll help get you signed up for that trial. We'll walk you through everything, and you'll be off and running. We'll have a 30-minute call with you as well on that onboarding call to go over everything. So please do that. If you're watching right now on YouTube, you need to subscribe to our channel so that you get notified when these videos come out. We're talking to people all over the industry, all over Amazon. We're talking to great logistics people, great listings creators, agencies that work with huge brands. We're talking to all of them. So we'd love for you to subscribe so that you can see that if you're watching this on Facebook, like the Sellozo page and then turn on notifications. You can turn on notifications from our page so that when you're on your phone, we'll pop in. We'll just take over your screen when we go live. And you'll be able to see this content that we've got going. And if you're listening on the podcast or wherever you're listening right now, go find the Two Amazon Sellers and a Microphone podcast on whichever platform you listen to your podcast on, and subscribe to the podcast. Leave us a review, like it, whatever you need to do. All right. Well, that's Campaign Studio. Hopefully you guys will be talking to either Kris or I pretty soon. All right, everybody. We'll get out of here and have a great day, and we'll see you again tomorrow.